So I'm going to start by asking you to look into your crystal ball, if I may, because based on the 2025 figures, what do you think China might set as its growth target for this year, and what will be the key drivers towards that trajectory?
Well, I don't have the crystal ball, but I will venture out to take a stake here. My bet is that the central government is going to continue the target last year. I think probably even using the same language here, the target will be my guess is around 5%. Around 5%. That's the word they're going to use. I'm guessing. That's the words that they used last time in 2025. I do want to point out one general rule. If you look at the history of industrialized countries, the developed countries, their growth rate has always been sort of slowing down as the living standard goes up, the per capita GDP goes up. In economics, we call it convergence phenomenon. I mean, I think it makes sense that as the pie goes bigger and bigger and bigger, it's getting just more and more difficult to maintain the same growth rate. And China is no exception. We are already the world's second largest economy. As a matter of fact, by PPP calculation, it's already the largest. To maintain a 5% growth rate is not easy. China inevitably will develop around the same track as the developed countries have already done, that the growth rate will eventually come down. Today, in a developed world, like 2%, 3% is considered very decent growth. China is actually moving that direction as well. But at least I think for next year, we're going to maintain the same pace of growth. In the next, I would say 3 to 5 years, we still going to be, somewhere around 5% or between 4 and 5%. That's the territory. The growth rate territory that I think China is going to maintain in the next few years.
So just preparing for the convergence at this point. But we do know that external demand and stronger exports are expected to help fuel growth in 2026. John, how resilient do you think China's export strength is, especially in the face of all these global challenges that we're seeing, from tariffs to conflicts?
Well, the trade sector is really the shining spot of China's economy last year. It has always been like this. I think last year, at least I've always been very optimistic about the export sectors, even amidst as you mentioned, very difficult trading environments, the tariffs, stuff like that coming from Washington. Nevertheless, if you look at the numbers, China's exports still recorded a fairly decent growth number, even though that exports to the United States is experiencing very, very significant decline, around like double-digit decline last year. I mean, this goes to show that the products from China are still very much in demand around the world. The Chinese companies are still very, very competitive on international markets. And you look at the various sectors across the board, I would say Chinese products are selling very well in developed country markets as well as in developing country markets, particularly those high value added products, that have high technological content. The new products arising on the market, in these areas, Chinese companies be extremely competitive.
So the two sessions, John, slated to begin this week, what policies might emerge from there, do you think, that will help boost household consumption and sentiment in general across China?
Well, I think if you consider the international environment these days, I think we should be very proud and happy that we still have a fairly peaceful environment here. Our growth rates are very decent, living standards being steadily rising. And I would imagine that these representatives coming to Beijing and essentially it's going to be a very happy party, I would imagine. The government will deliver a work report for the past year, and this is the conclusion of the 14th five-year plan, and laid out the 15th five-year plan. That's a strong characteristics of China's development model. You're going to see in this report, I would say, you're going to see things related to innovation, for example, high quality growth, and stimulating domestic consumption, things like that. These
Right.
are the areas of emphasis from the central government's perspective. And also, I think they're going to talk about the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, the proactive fiscal policy, and moderately loose monetary policy. So I think, comparatively speaking, I think China is in a very good shape right now, moving forward. I think this is the time that the country rallies around the government, people rally around the government, and focus on peaceful development.